Hi, and welcome to a very special segment of interview that we played today. Today we're going to be interviewing Grammy, or Anne-Marie Brody, and the reason for this is to remember how she looked, her voice, and what her story is. And now, if you will please direct your attention to the center stage where we have Grammy! Thank you, Grammy, for joining us today. It is a huge honor to be interviewing you.
I'm thrilled.
Alright, so let's get started, shall we? And I'm going to be saying the question and then sent in by whoever sent it in.
All right, before you start that, I just want everyone to know that I'm actually 83, but my grandchildren won't let me grow any more than 63 2 years ago, so now I'm 61. Thank you.
Yes, get it? She's 61. Okay? Alright, anyway, so first question sent in by Ruth, who is 40-ish. She wants to know, what would a perfect day be like for you? Describe it.
In my backyard on a nice sunshiny day with all my children and their grandchildren, just having a really fun time.
And this one is sent in by Hannah, who is 10. When you were in school, were you slapped by a ruler?
Never. I was a good girl.
Alright, this one is sent in by Faith, who is 16. How many pets did you have, and do you have a favorite pet?
Okay, when I was a child, we had 3 dogs, no cats. Oh, we did have bunnies, yes. And since then, in my older years, we've had several pets, and the favorite one would be Spicy, who was a little silver poodle, and Puff, who was a little white kitten.
I remember Puff. And this is sent in by Grace, who is 6. What church did you get married at?
We were married at St. Ephrem in Chicago.
Alright, and this one is sent in by Meg, who is 13. What is your favorite quote and why?
Dear. I can't think of any offhand that are respectable. So how about if we come back to that question?
Alright. And this is sent in by Hannah, 10. How did you meet Papa?
I met Papa when he was the assistant at the parish I was teaching at in Chicago at St. John the Baptist. He was the assistant priest and I was the 4th grade teacher. Sister Mary Lorraine, that was my name.
Okay. And this is sent in by Meg, 13. What is your favorite memory? Or a favorite memory?
Okay, a favorite memory would be the last time we were all together, everybody from Chicago, everybody was here in the backyard, and we had a photographer that Martha asked or sent for, and she took pictures, and it was the last time that Papa talked to all his nephews and sons at the same time. It was a wonderful gathering.
And this is sent in by Hannah, again, 10. How old were you when your mom passed away, and how did she die?
I was 12 when my mother died, and the best I can think of, she was in the hospital a month and a half, and when she finally died, I think it was something to do with her liver.
Okay. And this is sent in by Faith, 16. What was your favorite movie when you were little, and what is your favorite movie now? If you could describe like the plot and
Okay,
stuff, and the stars.
I don't know who the star was. Saint Bernadette of Lourdes was the favorite when I was a child. I thought that was a beautiful movie. She was chosen by our Blessed Mother to receive the rosary, and she's a saint now. And for the movie now, The King's Speech. That's a great movie with a lot of crazy language, but excellent movie.
Yep. And can you tell who the stars were?
No, I can't. I don't remember.
Okay.
I'm getting old.
I can tell you the stars if you want me to later. But, and how many Oscars it won. Because I'm weird like that. But anyway, Meg, 13 sent in, who is or was your role model?
Okay, that's a difficult one.
You can have multiple if you want.
I can think what?
You can have multiple role
I can't even think of one, a role model. I would have to say our Blessed Mother. Um, the Virgin Mary would be my role model. I would love to be sweet and gentle and thoughtful and kind and generous as she is or she was in her life. Yes, that would have to be my role model.
Okay, and this is sent in by Grace 6. Where were you born and where did you grow up?
I was born in Grosse Pointe at Cottage Hospital, and I grew up there um, between the yacht club and the golf course. And that's how we would spend our summers. We would go down to swim in the yacht club, and then we would play golf, starting at the first tee, and play around. And we had a good time.
All right, that's good. What is it like being a Grammy? Sent in by Faith 16.
I love it because my grandchildren are so much fun, and we have a good time together, and the girls are so different than the boys. The boys will swim and fish, and the girls like to shop and dress up and have a good time.
All right, sent in by William, age 47. What is happening in the world today that makes you the most frustrated or angry?
Politics. It's so frustrating when they won't get together and decide on what should be done with the economy. They're like little kids fighting one another. I want my way, I want my way. Every parent knows what a spoiled child is like, and that's what Congress is acting like now.
We should send this into Congress.
Go ahead.
Let them know exactly how you feel. All right, sent in by Hannah. How old were you when you went to boarding school, and were you scared or excited?
Okay, I was 12. It was after my mom. Maybe I was 13. No, I had to be more than that. Okay, probably around 13 or 14. And I was excited. I was not scared.
Okay, sent in by William, age 46. What was the happiest time when you were little, when you were a teenager, or before you met Papa? Just answer them individually.
Okay, when I was little, the happiest times would have been playing with my sister and having my mother around. She was so good. And as a teenager, boarding school, some of the fun things that we did in boarding school, we actually thought the moon was made of green cheese. Actually thought that. Different now. And now, what is it?
No, before you met Papa.
Before I met Papa. Well, I can't think of anything that was so wonderful before I met him. But Andy, Kathleen, and I had a good time. Yes. I lived with her in the Kelly View apartments. And we wore the same size clothes and the same size shoes. So I was teaching and she was in Hudson's. And so we always had a lot of different outfits to wear because we could change them back and forth.
That sounds fun.
It was.
I'm sure. Oh, this is sent in by Jim. Which one of your grandchildren will end up being the tallest? And it won't be me.
I think it will be Eddie because he's 2 years younger than Billy and he's almost as tall as Billy right now. So I really think it'll be Eddie.
And his parents have something to do with
yes,
that, right?
the parents have plenty to do with it. Both Katie and Eric are tall. True.
That is true. And this is sent in by William, age 47. Did you have a crush on anyone when you were young, and what was his name?
The crush was on my 5th grade teacher, Mr. Shinner, something like that. But he was bald, and I just thought he was great. So that was my crush.
And how did you and Papa get engaged? Where and when? Do you have a picture of your engagement?
Oh, yes, we have a picture of the engagement. That was at Kelly View Apartments. And, yeah, He did. He got down on one knee and asked me to marry him. And guess what? I said yes.
Real shocker. That was sent in by Jim. And this is sent in by Ruth, who is now 30-ish.
Oh my, you're getting younger.
Do you have a memory that makes you laugh every time you think of it? And if so, what is it? I guess you have one?
Well, I do, but it's so new. I think I've forgotten a lot of the things that have happened before. But it's Tommy who washes his hands, goes to the bathroom, and comes back and has to wash his hands again. So every time I see Tom washing his hands, I say to him, "Oh, you must have to go to the bathroom." And he does. He goes to the bathroom, comes back, and washes his hands again. And this makes me laugh.
And this one was sent in by Mick and Martha together. Do you remember your grandparents and how old they were when they passed away?
Okay, I do remember my grandparents. My mother's mother died when I was 8, and I remember her very well. And my grandfather, we used to call him Granddad, had a real old car, and he would always keep a jar of hard candy in the back seat for my sister, my brother, and myself, and I remember that. And I don't know how old he was when he died, because I had already gone to the convent by then. And he took my grandmother's ashes, and he is buried over in England with it. And my father's mother, I don't remember her at all. And I do remember his father had a big beard, and he was blind. And he would always say, "Where's the baby? I want to kiss the baby." And I would be back saying, "No, no, no." My father would push me, because I was the youngest. He would push me over there, and I would have to hug and kiss him with all that picky stuff. I did not like that.
Okay, this is sent in by Ruth, who is now 40-ish again. Did you ever play a musical instrument?
Yes, I played the piano.
Yeah. Our audience member is very enthusiastic about it.
Yes, okay.
And how long did you play the piano for?
My mother played the piano beautifully, so she taught us. And my sister would always say it was time to practice when it was time to do the dishes. And of course my mother wanted her to practice, so I got stuck with the dishes, and she did the practicing, and she was not one to go outside and play ball. So I was always outside playing baseball with my brother, and so I didn't practice very much.
All right, and this is sent in by Mick and Martha. Tell us about your parents and what were they like?
My mother was a sweetheart, such a dear. I missed her. I still do. My father was a good buddy to me. When we were younger, he took care of me. I remember him looking over my crib and playing with me in the crib, so that was pretty young. And then I also remember whenever we went to the cottage, we would always get up early and go in the boat, and I would row down the streams while he did the fly casting back and forth. So we were really good buddies for a while.
All right. Wait, cut. What?
Mom. Talk more about Mom. Her mom. She didn't say much about her.
My mother.
Yeah, more about your mom.
What can I say? Do you want me to tell you that whole bike story?
Oh, sure, yeah.
Well, I must have been probably 11, and she came one day and said, let's go bike riding. And I had never seen my mother on a bike, so I was surprised that she mentioned that. But she took my sister's bike, I rode my bike, and we went on a long bike trip. We went up to Martyr Road, down Martyr Road to Jefferson, which had to be easy, 3, 4, 5 miles, and then from Jefferson all the way back home. And I imagine she must have been so sore, because I had not seen her riding a bike before that, but that was my mother.
And how old were you when that happened?
Probably 11.
All right. Next question, sent in by Meg, who is 13. What was your goal when you were younger, and did you accomplish it yet?
Yeah, yes, I guess I did accomplish it. Uh, I wanted to be, I figured I was gonna get married, but I didn't then. Then I went to boarding school, and I became a nun, which I thought was nice. I wanted to teach, and I did. And when I left, I got married and had a beautiful family, and that was wonderful for me.
Alright, it's very good. And sent in by William, age 47. When you're having a bad day, what cheers you up?
My grandchildren, memories of what is going on with these wonderful kids. That cheers me up every time.
Okay, this is sent in by Hannah, 10. How did your sister die, and how old was she, and how old were you when she died? And how many stepbrothers do you have, and are they still living?
Holy cats. Okay,
Take one at a time.
my sister died of anorexia,
Anorexia.
and she was 40, and I was 38, I guess. I was always a year and a half younger than she was. And what was the second part?
How many stepbrothers do you have, and are they living?
Okay, I have one half brother. No, he's a stepbrother. I have a stepbrother living in San Diego, and he's the only one. My brother has since died. Of course, my sister died, and the youngest one of the second family is dead, so it's only Willie who's living in San Diego.
Okay, and how much younger is he than you?
Probably about 30 years younger.
Oh, okay. And sent in by William, age 46. When were you scared the most?
When I left the convent, because I didn't know what it was like, and it was a big shock to me. So having moved in with my sister helped, and I lived with her for a while until I met Auntie Kathleen, and then we rented an apartment together over on Kelly, the Kelly View Apartments, and she was a wonderful, wonderful friend.
That's good. And next one, Grace 6 asks, what were some of your best friends' names when you were growing up?
Okay, I remember Patsy Armstrong, but she was not one of my best friends. She was different. There was Annabelle Rogers, Betty Moore, Ruth Schneider. Good enough?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
If you have any more, let us know. And Ruth, who is 40-ish, says, do you have a favorite song, color, or food?
Well, my favorite color used to be green, now it's red. And food, no, I don't have a favorite food.
Do you have some favorites?
What?
Favorite foods?
No.
No?
No, I really
Okay.
don't. I don't care that much. What was the first thing?
Song.
Song. I love that song, My Cup Runneth Over with Love, because Papa and I used to love that song. Yeah, that would be my absolute favorite song.
Okay, and Mick and Martha, they don't have an age put down. What was your favorite thing to do when you were young?
Play dolls with my sister. My sister, her name was Margaret, but we called her Marge. No, we called her Marg. It was only after she got married that she wanted to be called Marge. And Marg and I would play dolls and play dolls and play dolls. And then, of course, after supper, my brother and I would play baseball outside.
And the kind of dolls, you didn't have Barbies
No.
back then.
We had the old-fashioned dolls where you have the head, the china head. It wasn't china, it was kind of...
Plasticky?
Yeah, plasticky head, and then the body was cloth and the arms were... Arms and legs, yes.
Okay. And the baseball thing, did you have a... Or is it just you and your brother, or did you That was it?
Yes.
You didn't have a bunch of friends playing with you? Or?
No, we didn't have any kids in the neighborhood. Donna Green lived way down the street, but she didn't come over to play with us because her mother wouldn't let her go that far. But my brother taught me a lot besides baseball. When we had a driveway that ran uphill, and we would do races, and I would start with him here, and of course he always won because he was older. But once when we had games after in school, and there were races, I beat all the boys because my brother had taught me how to run so fast. And I remember some of the teachers saying, "Who's that girl that beat all the boys?" I like that.
Good job. And Gracie, 6. Who was your favorite teacher and why?
Okay, Mr. Skinner's, or Shinner's, I can't remember which, but I know that was close, yeah.
Yeah.
5th grade, and probably because he was a man, the first teacher I had.
All right, and Jim wants to know, did you have a honeymoon, and if so, what was that like?
Okay, we didn't have a honeymoon, but if we had, I guess going to Ireland, where the kids all sent us to Ireland after Dad retired, and that was wonderful, and so I could consider that my honeymoon.
Okay. And Mick and Martha want to know, what was your first job and how old were you when you started?
Okay, I remember the first job was in the Aubrey Bakery, which was a department in a grocery store, and I want to say kind of like a Kroger store, but it wasn't Kroger at that time. And yeah, I liked it. It was the lady that was in charge of it was really, really nice to me, so it was okay.
All right, how old were you?
Probably, that would have been probably 12, right after my mother died. That would have been the summer my mother died.
Okay. Mick and Martha, again, wants to know, what was the first car you drove and what kind?
Okay, it was, because I had been in the convent, I didn't drive a car until I got out, and I was living with Auntie Kathleen, and she was driving a Dodge, and it was a big car, 4-door sedan type car, and I think it was a dark blue, not real dark, but bluish.
All right. And Ruth, who is 40-ish, if you had $1 million, what would you do?
Okay, I would have to pay the government their tax. Then I would buy this house so I wouldn't have to pay for flood insurance anymore. And then I would split up the rest and give it to my children, who would also help out their grandchildren. And I would buy a house in California, big house in California, so everybody could go there to visit and see Jim and his family. And I would buy a big house in Florida so we could all go there at any time and have a wonderful time like we did once before when we had that big house in Florida. That was wonderful.
Yes, it was. And speaking of Jim, he wants to know, what was your wedding?
Our wedding was very hush-hush. We had to get married in the diocese where where Dad got his dispensation from the priesthood, and so it was a very quiet wedding. I had a white lace suit, and his best man was the janitor, and my maid of honor was the lady who did the linens on the altar. And that was our wedding.
Did you have a priest?
Yes, of course,
Okay.
yes.
And you also had one at the Justice of the Peace. And
Oh,
what was
that came,
like?
yes.
That was before the
Yeah.
church wedding.
When we first decided to get married, we went to the Justice of the Peace because we knew we couldn't get a church wedding at that time. So Auntie Kathleen was my maid of honor, maid of honor, and Uncle Ralph was Dad's best man. And that was fun, but here again, it was a quiet wedding.
All right, and the next one, William, age 47. What was the most difficult moment in your life, and what did you do to overcome it?
Okay, the most difficult moment of my life had to be when I left the convent, because I did not know what was ahead of me. And overcoming it, I just went on day by day by day, just plowed right through, and everything turned out well.
All right, that sounds good. Everything did turn out really well.
Thank you.
So, all right, this is from me, age 16. If you could change anything about your life, what would it be and why?
Oh, I would cure Papa. He would not have died.
Now, what did Papa have?
Papa had Parkinson's, and then Parkinson's doesn't kill you though. It was something that developed after that. He must have had, I don't know. When he passed out in that hotel in Frankenmuth, before he did, he said to me, "What's happening to me?" Because he was staggering down the hall. And I grabbed him and said, "We're almost at the room." And when we opened the door to the room, he absolutely fell flat down. And everybody said he broke his nose, but I don't think he did. I don't know what happened, but he died. And he shouldn't have. And if I could have, I would have cured him.
All right, next question. A lighter note sent in by Gracie, age 6. What kind of music did you like when you were little?
Waltzes, foxtrots, nice music. Music that you could hear the words to and dance to.
Any favorite artists?
No, not artists, no.
Okay, last question. Sent in by your oldest son, William, who says he's age 46, but he's age 47.
That's his
Did
daughter.
you ever get in trouble? I mean, really, in all capital letters, in trouble. What happened?
Okay, the worst trouble I was ever in was in boarding school, because we would go on night raids and just to be dumb and silly. And we would wake each other up after the nuns did the bed check and they had gone to sleep. And then we would sneak downstairs and go through the tunnels. We had tunnels in boarding school. And we would go through the tunnels and...
Now, what were the tunnels? They were just underground hallways, right?
Yeah, underground hallways. And we would unscrew the lights in these underground tunnels so that the night watchman wouldn't see us. And we'd go over to the refectory or the dining room and eat stale bread just to be silly. And then we would come back, and as we came back, we would put the lights back on, screw them in as we went up, and then we would go and sneak back in bed. That was the worst trouble I ever got in.
Were you ever caught?